We'll call the meeting to order, and to begin, we'll call your attention to the Open Meetings Act posted here in the council chambers. If you now please join me in rising for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Granquist,
Here.
Lange, Merrill,
Here.
Weeblehouse,
Here.
Murin,
Here.
Jackson, Clausen,
Here.
Smile.
Here for a little while.
For a few minutes yet. Okay. With that, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second. If no discussion, roll call, please.
Granquist,
Yes.
Lange, Merrill,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson, Clausen,
Yes.
Smile.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And I should note, since this is also a meeting that's accessible by Zoom, that during the meeting, anyone who's participating by Zoom, if they want to speak or be acknowledged, they need to press *9 on their device. If they're on their computer, on their phone, *9 on their phone. If they're on their computer, we'll need to click the raise hand icon. Okay, so now I will look for a motion to approve the full agenda.
So move.
Motion and a second. No discussion. Roll call, please.
Granquist,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin, Jackson, Clausen,
Yes.
Smile.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, with that, we move to the special presentations portion of the agenda, item number 21. And in a minute here, we will conduct the swearing in of newly elected mayor and city council representatives by the Honorable Judge Stauffer. But before we do that, we want to take a moment to acknowledge the service of two outgoing council members, Dick File and Jim Lange. And you'll have to bear with me, let me indulge me here for a minute. First, Dick File has served 8 years on the city council, having been elected in 2012. We came in on the city council together, and it's been a pleasure serving with you, Dick. Your interest in our park system and our trails enhancement has helped make our city more walkable, and your service on public safety subcommittee has helped strengthen our police and fire divisions, among all the other work that you've dedicated your time and resources to. We thank you very much for your service. You've served well, and we'll miss you, and we wish you well. We do have, I think, a plaque to present, so I'll do that now if we can. Reads, in appreciation of the city council service presented to Dick File for your generous commitment of time and support to the endeavors of the city of Norfolk from 2012 to 2020.
I'm smiling. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to thank city staff. I mean, you guys are great. You're the best. We're lucky to have you guys. We are truly blessed. These guys do an outstanding job for the city of Norfolk, and we wouldn't be where we are without all of you guys. And to these guys up here, I enjoyed working with you. I've never been around such a forward-looking group, planners, visionaries, and what these guys are. I mean, we've done a lot of exciting things, and I know there's a lot more exciting things to come. So Norfolk's in great hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick.
And I wish he were here right now, but Councilman Jim Lange had to be out of town to attend to a family matter. So he asked me to read this on his behalf. And it says, "Thank you. To the citizens of Norfolk, and especially those that have resided in Ward 2, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for having entrusted me to make decisions for the governance of the city of Norfolk for the last few years. It has been a pleasure to serve you and all the Norfolk citizens. I would also like to thank city staff, both past and present, for their assistance, mentoring, and providing educational material to me on local and statewide issues. Decisions can never be made in a vacuum. I had the privilege of serving with many excellent and dedicated staff who were always willing to go that extra distance to provide information I would be seeking. Thank you to all the elected officials. I have had the privilege of serving alongside 3 mayors, each with their own strengths, many council persons, and numerous state and county representatives. Finally, thank you to the citizens that have taken the challenge and placed your name on the ballot. Successful or not, the presentation of a choice for the citizens is an important element for our democracy. Congratulations to the re-elected and newly elected mayor and council members. The next weeks, months, and years will bring challenges and rewards for the city with your leadership. God bless. Sincerely, Jim Lange." And I just want to, again, take a minute to comment on Jim's legacy in the city of Norfolk. Jim was the dean of the city council, a well-earned title. Jim dedicated decades, literally decades, of service to the city, both on the planning commission and the city council, starting on the planning commission in 1990 and then elected to the council in 2000. He was a voice of reason and balance, and Jim was understandably called upon by the council for his perspective, insight, and wisdom. Personally, we didn't always agree on everything, but given hindsight and perspective, I can see now, at the times that we differed, he was often more right than I was. It's rare that you come across individuals who give as selflessly with their time as Jim did to the betterment of the city of Norfolk. He helped grow the community for the better. He will be missed as well. So hopefully Jim gets to see this sometime, somewhere. We also have a plaque in the presentation to present to him when we're able to do that. But once again, Jim Lange, Dick File, thank you both. We wish you well. So now, to replace those large shoes and make this official, we will conduct a swearing in of the newly elected mayor and city council representatives by, again, Honorable Judge Stauffer. And we'll start with the mayor, and then Corey Hildebrand of Ward 1, Frank Arns, Ward 2, Gary Jackson, Ward 3, and Thad Miran, Ward 4. So I think instead of doing this individually, we can all come up front and be ready to go.
Just a few preliminary things before I get started. First of all, I didn't know I could do this by Zoom.
We didn't inform you of that.
Okay. Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, as some of you know who've been sworn in before, there's a couple of spots here where there's blanks, or not blanks on the paper, but they're different for each of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by saying I, and then each of you will say your own names, and I'll go on then with the oath, which is the same for everybody, but then when we get to the duties of the office of, and then I will wait to let you say your particular position before I go on further. And then when I'm done, I think I will take these and set them over here so you can all sign them, and then when you're done signing, I'll sign as well. Now, I'm going to also say a couple of things that I say to everybody that I swear in, whether it be the county government day kids or officials such as yourselves. First of all, thank you for committing yourself to doing community service of this nature. That's very much appreciated. I believe as Councilman Laney indicated, that's something that's really a part of our democracy and very important. And so thank you for taking the responsibility to do that, first of all. And second of all, of course, congratulations on your victory. And then the other thing that I usually say too as well is that as I am giving this oath to you, listen to the words that are being said, because you will find that nowhere in the oath is there anything about swearing allegiance to any particular person, nor to any political party. And that is something that I think really makes our government work so well, is that we are a government of laws. We're not a government of parties or a government of particular individuals or anything of that nature. And I tell you that I've been saying this for a long time, so it has nothing to do with things that are going on at this particular point in time, but I do think it's a very important thing that we recognize that we are not swearing allegiance to any particular person or to any particular party. We're swearing allegiance to basically a total law. So if you would raise your right hands now, I'll swear you in. I, and then please state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation, or for purpose of evasion, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of according to law and to the best of my ability. And I do further swear that I do not advocate nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, and that's during such time as I am in this position. I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence. So help me God. Congratulations. As indicated, I'll put these over here. You can each individually sign yours, and then I'll go ahead and sign them all.
Thank you, Judge.
Again, thank all of you very much for your service and congratulations. And hopefully, when this this is done again, there won't even be a possibility of a Zoom swearing in.
Well said, all around. Thank you, Your Honor, for taking the time to do that for us. So it is official, the new council and mayor are seated. We will now again take roll call of the body.
Grandquist,
Yes.
Arns,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson, Clausen,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Okay. With that, on to business. Item number 22, we will conduct selection by the City Council of a president of the council per section 2-17, 1.5 of the City Code. And so at this point, I would entertain any motions for nomination for council president.
Your Honor, I'd move that we nominate Councilman Rob Merrill as president of the council.
I second that.
Okay. Motion for nomination of Rob Merrill and a second. Discussion on that.
I vote we suspend the rules and nominate him on both second and third reading.
For me.
I don't think necessary. But well-timed, Councilman.
You're the train.
Do I have to ask for any other nominations? Okay. Before we move forward, I do have to ask if there are any other nominations. Okay. If none, and if no discussion on the nomination of Councilman Merrill for council president, would ask for a roll call, please.
Grandquist,
Yes.
Arns,
Yes.
Merrill,
I suppose I shouldn't abstain, so I'll say yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. It is official. Congratulations, Mr. Council President.
Thank you very much. Thank you, council.
Moving on to item number 23, we will have a presentation of the town hall meeting to receive comments on the Northeast Nebraska Solid Waste Coalition budget and rates for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021. And to lead that discussion, Randy Gates, our city finance officer. Please, Randy.
Yes, this is a requirement of the Solid Waste Coalition's interlocal agreement. These town hall meetings had some real interest in them early on when we were citing the coalition and shortly thereafter. Now they're still taking place because they're in the interlocal agreement, but we usually don't have a whole lot of public input at these things. But in the agenda packet, you have the proposed budget for the fiscal year, which was approved by the board to take to these town hall meetings, which are Columbus and Fremont and Norfolk. And this budget leaves the rates unchanged at $24 per ton and assumes Waste Connection continues operating the coalition with no fee increase. Balance forward increases over $1 million, going from about $5.4 million last year to about $6.4 million this year. And that's just due to normal coalition operations. They normally have about that large of increase in fund balance, and that gets used at when they construct a new cell. Those are expensive, and those fund balances usually pay for that. We haven't had to issue debt for a long period of time. Use fees increase $381,000 due to a tonnage increase, because like I said earlier, the tipping fees remain the same. Interest income decreases $61,000 due to an decrease in budgeted interest rates from 2% last year to 0.75% this year. Personnel costs increased a little over 2% and include a 1% cost of living adjustment and normal merit pay increases. Disposal fees increased $84,000 due to the increase in budgeted tonnage. Other professional fees decreased $131,000 due to engineering for the master plan budgeted in the prior year. This year's capital outlay is $300,000 for vertical and lateral permit modifications. Also included in the agenda package, you have the closure, post-closure care fund budget. This is where we accumulate money that we'll use to pay for closing the landfill and taking care of it for 30 years after we close it. The transfer from the operating fund increases almost $28,000 from last year, going from $352,000 to a little over $380,000. Prior year budget transfer was based on estimated remaining landfill life of 20 years. Due to the increased tonnage, this year's budget transfer is based on estimated remaining life of 17 years. That shorter time frame increased the amount of transfer necessary on an annual basis to fund the closure, post-closure care obligations. Partially offsetting that was the engineer's cost estimates prepared in 2019 were less than 2014 estimates after inflation adjustments. Total funds available for closure, post-closure increased from about 9.1 million to 9.8 million. Approximately half of that increase is due to interest earnings, with the other half due to current year funding. That answer any questions?
Okay, thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy on that? Okay, thank you, Randy. That moves us to our public hearings and related action. Item number 24. I will open this public hearing at the request of Daniel G. and Cameron D. Green to consider a zoning change from A, Agricultural District, to RR, Rural Residential District, on property located approximately a half-mile north of Benjamin Avenue and west of 49th Street. And to kick off the discussion on this, for some background, Val Grimes, our city planner, please.
Thank you. This piece of property is just south of the half-section line on 49th Street, north of Benjamin. It is about a 20-acre piece of property right now, zoned ag. What these people would like to do is they can put one house on it as it stands today, but they would like to sell off a portion and put 2 houses out there. And since it is only 20 acres and ag zoning needs 40 technically once you start messing with property lines, they're requesting a zone change to RR so that they can put 2 houses out there. The comprehensive plan does call for it to remain ag. And it says during the guidelines that residential development that should be encouraged residential north of Highway 275 and prioritizing developments adjacent to existing infrastructure. And large lot development should be discouraged so the extension of city services can proceed and facilitate future development. Some discussion was had that 49th Street is a hilly street, and so for site distances, there may not be too many areas for accesses off of 49th Street. And that was mainly the discussion. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Val. Any questions before we move on with the hearing? Thank you, Val. Again, this is a public hearing, so anyone wishing to make comment on the matter can do so now.
Should I sign this?
Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Michael Sullivan, and I am brother-in-law to Daniel and Cameron Green. My wife and Cameron are sisters. And Daniel and Cameron Green bought it's actually 20-plus acres. I don't know if it's quite 21, but it's pretty close. And the plan is for us, my wife and I, to buy 10 plus exactly half of those acres. We've already had the guy.
Surveyor?
Surveyor, thank you. The surveyor go out there and divide the land so that it's evenly divided. And And so we're just requesting, if there are no issues with this, the possibility of doing all 3 readings today. And I guess that's all I have. Any questions for me? I'm representing Daniel and Cameron,
Sure.
so.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan, for that background. Any questions for Mike? Doesn't look like it. You're off the hook. Thank you.
Thanks.
Again, this is a public hearing. Anyone else wishing to make comment can do so now. Again, as a reminder for those who might be participating via Zoom, if you're on your phone, press star 9 to raise your hand. If you're on your computer, click the raise hand icon on the screen. It doesn't look like we have anybody in the queue. And not hearing anyone else in the council chambers, I will ask for a planning commission report, please, Brianna.
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on November 17, 2020, at the request of Daniel G. and Cameron D. Green to consider a zoning change from A, Agricultural District, to RR, Rural Residential District, on property located approximately 1/2 mile north of Benjamin Avenue and west of 49th Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the request with a 9-0 vote.
Okay, thank you, Brianna. With that, I will close the hearing and move to item number 25. Would entertain a motion to consider ordinance number 5708, approving a zoning change from A to RR on property located approximately 1/2 mile north of Benjamin Avenue and west of 49th Street.
Your Honor, I would offer for consideration ordinance number 5708.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion on this, council? Questions or comments? Hearing none, short title, please.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, roll call.
Granquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5708 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd move that we suspend the rules, pass ordinance 5708 on second and third due to no controversy or anything on this issue. I'll second that.
Motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. If no discussion, roll call, please.
Granquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5708 carries on second and third.
Okay, item 26. I would open this public hearing to consider a blighted and substandard declaration for the area referred to as the Riverside Boulevard redevelopment area. And to kick off the discussion, Randy Gates, our city finance officer, please.
The blight and substandard determination study for this area is included in your agenda packet, and it was prepared by the Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District at the city's request. On November 2nd, the City Council accepted the study and forwarded it to the Planning Commission for their review and recommendation. And on November 17th, the Planning Commission held a public hearing to hear comments on and review the blight and substandard determination study. The Planning Commission voted 9-0 to recommend approval of declaring this area blighted and substandard, and their letter is included in the agenda packet. Declaring this area blighted and substandard allows the utilization of tax increment financing for eligible redevelopment projects in the area. This area starts on the south end with the old post office building and continues up Riverside Boulevard until it gets to Country Club Road, then runs east along Country Club Road, and then southerly to Norfolk of the Elkhorn River, and then south along the river to encompass properties located between Riverside Boulevard and the North Fork of the Elkhorn River. There are approximately 56 acres in this area, and I believe Jan Merrill is here and can review the results of her study with the City Council.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome,
Council.
Jen.
So according to the Nebraska Community Development Law, the Riverside redevelopment area has been declared blighted and substandard. It had 3 substandard factors and 5 blighted. Deterioration was one of the major factors. 28 of the 37 structures were determined to be fair, poor, or dilapidated, which counts for 76%. Also, age was another factor, and that was 37 structures were 42.76 years of age, which is 59% of them were over the age of 40. And then there are some conditions that are endangered for life and property, fire and unsanitary and unsafe conditions. Those are like sidewalks that are dilapidated, causing issues with ADA and unsafe conditions for pedestrian traffic. There's also different debris and weed growth that can cause unsafe and unsanitary conditions. Of the city's 35% allotted blight and substandard, this would take the city to 31.35, which means we still have about 300 acres of that we could still blight if a project did come in. On August 21st of this year, all letters were sent out to property owners, and we have not received any concerns or complaints regarding that.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Just because I'm curious, what is the threshold needed in terms of those percentages in a studied blighted area for deterioration and age? Is there a certain percentage
There's not
requirement that needs to be met?
Not necessarily a certain requirement, but it has to be a substantial amount, is how the law reads.
Okay. I think we met that here.
I think we did. Mhm.
All right. Any other questions for Jan?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And as always, we appreciate the assistance of the Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District on this blight and substandard study process. And as we know, this is a first step in terms of potential redevelopment of the area and offering policy incentives that encourage redevelopment of a certain area in town that has been determined to be blighted substandard. This is a public hearing, so anyone wishing to make comment can do so now. Seeing no one here and no one in queue on Zoom, I will ask for a Planning Commission report, please.
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing to hear comments on and review the blight and substandard determination study for the area referred to as Riverside Boulevard redevelopment area on November 17th, 2020. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the declaration with a 9-0 vote.
Okay, with that, I will close the hearing and move to item number 27. Would entertain a motion to consider resolution number 2020-60, declaring the Riverside Boulevard redevelopment area blighted and substandard.
I'll make the motion, Your Honor.
Motion and second. Any further discussion or questions or comments, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Granquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Resolution 2020-60 is adopted.
Okay. Takes us to our regular agenda, item 28. Would look for a motion to consider approval of change order number 2F with Rutgens Construction Incorporated for the South 5th Street Culvert and Corporation Gulch project, resulting in a net decrease of $3,443.18.
I'll make the motion. Okay, I'll second that.
Motion and second. And for some background on this, Steve Ramus, our Public Works Director, please.
Mayor, council members, before you is the change order 2F. The F stands for final. For the 5th Street Culvert project, this was a project down on the south end of town where 5th Street crosses Corporation Gulch. We had prepared plans and specifications for the project prior to the flood. As a function of the flood, there was additional damage to that project. And we received $38,364.68 from FEMA to go towards the reconstruction and modifications for that project. This is a net decrease of $3,443.18. Most all of our civil projects that come out of Public Works are what we call line item projects. There's a bunch of line items with individual components, quantities, and bid prices that make up the project. During the project, the contractor builds according to those quantities, and at the end, we're either plus or minus some of those quantities. So we always put together a final change order so that the final construction pay application on the project matches the contract. And that's what this is here.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Grandquist,
Yes.
Arns, Merrill,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson, Clausen,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay, item 29, would entertain a motion to consider approval of change order number 1F with IES Commercial Incorporated for the WPC SBR Electrical and Control Improvements Project, resulting in a net increase of $13,065.
Make that motion, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion second. And Steve, again, are you handling this one?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, yes, this is a final change order, again, for a contract out at the wastewater pollution control facility. SBR stands for sequencing batch reactor. That is the process that we use to treat our wastewater here prior to sending the effluent back to the river. And what we did here when we put the project out, historically, most of our electrical systems out at the plant have been traditional galvanized steel. Most all other items out at the plant are stainless steel, just due to the corrosive nature of the operation. So just to kind of make things more efficient for us, make sure things are lasting a lot longer out there, we wanted to upgrade this to stainless steel. So that's what this change order does.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Grandquist,
Yes.
Arns,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson, Clausen,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Item 30, would entertain a motion to consider approval of change order number 1F with A&R Construction Company for the US 275 and 20th Street Pedestrian Improvements Project, resulting in a net decrease of $44,610.48.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion second, and Steve, can you give us background on this as well, please?
Sure, Mayor and Council. This is again a final change order. It is change order 1F. This is for the pedestrian crossing across Highway 275 at the, I call it, I guess, the Buffalo Wild Wings crossing. We had, the contract was set up to include the pavement marking for that crossing. By the time we got all the other construction complete, we were kind of outside the temperature window to get that contractor up here. We are currently working on a larger pavement marking contract for next year to do pavement marking, thermoplastic pavement markings at several of the intersections here in the community. And so we're going to subtract it out of this contract and add it into that contract. So this, again, just balances out the contract with the final pay app.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Again, just curious, that thermoplastic marking, have we done that before? Have we employed that practice before in the city?
We probably have some around the community. It's a thicker product. It has about a 5-year life expectancy on it, especially in your higher traffic areas. So we don't have to get in there on an annual basis and put these back. We did market the crosswalk with the street department with paint. But you'll see by the time we get to next spring, it's going to be hard to see.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Grandquist,
Yes.
Arns, Merrill,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson, Clausen,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Item 31, would entertain a motion to consider approval of change order number 2 with Elkhorn Paving Construction Company Incorporated for the Concrete Improvements 2019-2 project, resulting in a net increase of $19,987.90.
Wait. I'll make the motion.
Motion and second. Steve, once again, please.
Sure. Mayor and council, this is change order 2 with Elkhorn Paving Construction for the 2019-2 concrete improvement project. This work is taking place out at West Rosh and 34th. We did a kind of a full replacement there on West Rosh for about 300, 400 feet. On 34th, we were doing just specific panel replacements, not a full width replacement curb to curb. Once we got in there and started doing the removals, the city had done some work to the north there of Rosh, and as we got in there and started to identify the removals, there was more removal that needed to be done so that we don't have to come back in the next 5, 10, 15 years and close that intersection down again and do more work. So what this is doing is this is adding, again, it's adding quantity so that Elkhorn can do the removals necessary and panel replacements so that we're not coming back into that intersection. I'd point out on the back, on the kind of the supplementary document to the change order, there are several deductions in there. We are helping Elkhorn with some of that work, so we're doing some of the removals and hauling away, and we're also providing some of the foundation course that's going back in there. So that's the purpose for those deducts, is that work's being performed by the city to help bring the cost down.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you, Steve. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Grandquist,
Yes.
Arns, Merrill,
Yes.
Weeblehouse,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson, Clausen,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay, moving to item number 32, we'll look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5709, authoring issuance of $150,000 general obligation off-street parking refunding bonds to refund the Series 2014 general obligation off-street parking refunding bonds.
I'll make a motion for consideration of ordinance number 5709.
Second.
Motion and second. And for some background on this, Randy Gates, please.
Yeah, this is a refunding simply being done to take advantage of lower interest rates. These bonds, the 2014 bonds, are now callable. In your agenda packets, you had a preliminary ordinance, which has now been finalized, bond sales and completed. The agenda packets expect an interest rates from 0.6 to 1.25%. The actual interest rates are better than that, ranging from 0.45 to 1%. The outstanding bonds have interest rates ranging from 2.5% to 3.75%. As shown in the refunding analysis included in the agenda packet, this results in a substantial net present value savings. The agenda packet showed a savings of $18,739. The actual savings will be $19,098, and the net present value benefit increases from $13,752, shown in the agenda packets, to $15,353. The net present value savings is 9.9% of the refunded principal, so quite significant and definitely meeting our criteria for refunding the issue. Since the interest rates are based on approval at tonight's council meeting, I recommend approval of the ordinance on all 3 readings.
Okay. Thank you, Randy. Any questions or comments on that? Randy, historically, are these some of the lowest interest rates that you've seen?
Yeah, interest rates have kind of came down and kind of been floating around this general area for a little while, and yes, very good interest rates. I haven't seen interest rates this low since I started working for the city.
Time to take advantage of it. All right, any other questions or comments, council? If none, short title, please.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of general obligation off-street parking refunding bonds, Series 2021 of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, in the principal amount of $155,000 for the purpose of paying and redeeming $155,000 of the city's outstanding general obligation off-street parking refunding bonds, Series 2014, date of original issue, February 25th, 2014, directing the application of the proceeds of said bonds, prescribing the form of said bonds, providing for the levy and collection of taxes to pay the same, providing for the sale of the bonds, authorizing the delivery of the bonds to the purchaser, and ordering the ordinance to be published in pamphlet form.
Okay, roll call, please.
Grandquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5709 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd move we suspend the rules and pass on second and third.
Second.
Motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. If no further discussion, roll call, please.
Grandquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5709 carries on second and third.
It takes us to item 33. Would look for a motion to consider resolution number 2020-61, calling the $155,000 of outstanding Series 2014 general obligation off-street parking refunding bonds for redemption in January 2021.
Your Honor, I would offer for consideration Resolution 2020-61. Second.
Second.
Motion and second. Randy, anything further to add here?
Nope, this is just a companion item to the ordinance authorizing the refunding bonds. We need to call the bonds being refunded.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Grandquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson? Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Resolution 2020-61 is adopted.
Item 34, would look for a motion to consider approval of the purchase of a replacement snow blower unit off the Sourcewell purchasing contract with Mid-Iowa Solid Waste Equipment Company for $139,108 to be used by the Street Division.
I'll make the motion.
Motion and second, and for some background on this, Lyle Lutt, our risk management.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Lyle Lutt. I'm the Risk and Operations Manager for the city. Here is my esteemed colleague, Scott Smith from the maintenance shop and the subject matter expert on snow removal and general equipment of the city. And this is his first time addressing the council tonight. So talk about any questions you may have in regards to this piece of equipment.
Little background, Mayor and Council, go easy.
Yeah, we'll take it easy on you tonight.
We try and operate on a rotation schedule 15 to 20 years. As you see, this is an 88 model. We try and make a decision. If money can be used better somewhere else, we put off the purchase. It's been in budget talks for several years, but it's getting to where every year we put more and more into it, and it's nearing the end of its life here. I'm the equipment services manager, so it falls to me to research and recommend various pieces of equipment that the city needs or, to operate. After hours of watching snow being loaded into trucks and researching size, type, different things, this is the unit that I settled on. It's off of Sourcewell, as it says. It's in the horsepower range that I was looking at, it is the lowest price unit that I could find. It's depicted in the capital improvement program. The budget is $160,000. Questions?
What would be a good example of how this would be used?
This unit, the main purpose for this unit is snow removal in the downtown area.
The load trucks.
In the wintertime, we windrow the snow into the middle of the street, and then the blower would load it into trucks to be hauled away. That's its primary purpose, but we've used it in the College View area when the snow is really deep, or they just can't get through it with a truck plow. We'll go up and open the street for them.
What are we doing with the piece of equipment that's being replaced?
I can address that. That's a good question, Councilman. What we typically like to do with specialized equipment like this is get this new one in possession, make sure it's up and functioning and serves the role it needs to be before we cut ties with the old piece of equipment and send it down the road. Once we're 100% comfortable with this, then we'll look at either selling it perhaps on an internet auction type site, perhaps selling it to another community if the opportunity arises of a fair value that they could use it as well. But before we send that down the road, we want to make sure that the new one is ready to roll.
Lyle,
Yeah.
so using Sourcewell, do they just deal in construction equipment, or have we found that they deal in other, I know we buy a lot of things from state bid here in Nebraska, but I guess nothing keeps us locked into that, correct?
That's correct. The state bid, I guess for general education, the state bid is a contract that the state of Nebraska has with various companies for supplying services, materials, equipment, supplies that political subdivisions can use as well. And we do that on occasion with some equipment throughout the year. Sometimes it's bid out, specifically spec'd out by division heads and sent to specific vendors. There's some advertising component that goes along with it, council approval to move forward with RFPs and approval to purchase. The next level above the state bid is the Sourcewell. Now, it actually falls underneath the Minnesota state contract. Minnesota legislature is that, but it's more of a nationwide type vendor that can supply material, equipment, services, supplies, and it's a sizable thing. It's not just for snow removal or trucks or equipment. It's a lot of stuff that many communities can use.
Thank you.
Do you guys happen to see this new truck as the dump trucks that we're blowing the snow into get bigger and larger? Do you see the chute is capable of filling a taller truck than?
Yeah, so I'll let Scott talk about that in just a second. This is one of two snow blowers that's mounted onto a big payloader, and there's a whole machine that gets involved with how that snow gets piled up downtown, put into a berm. Dump trucks come into place in a very fluid and rapid, efficient means to minimize the amount of time that it's going to be impacted downtown. And is that possible that larger equipment can come along? Yeah, it's possible, and that's why why Scott was looking heavily at the amount of horsepower that's there to get what he needs, but not overdo it, to maximize the potential return on investment for the money that you allowed for the budget. Do you have anything to add about snow removal?
To expand on that, this blower will be equipped with a 30-inch hydraulically extended chute on it. We work with some of the local contractors in town that haul for us, and it is a concern sometimes how tall they're getting, but this one I added that specifically for that.
Other questions?
Okay, doesn't look like it. Nicely done for rookie experience. All right, appreciate it. Any other discussion, council, on this before we vote? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Grandquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson? Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
Item 35, we'll look for a motion to approve ordinance number 5710, creating paving district number 519, providing for paving in Legacy Bend 4th and 5th additions.
I'll make a motion for consideration of ordinance number 5710.
Motion and second, and Steve Ramus, some background on this, please.
Mayor and council members, items 35, 36, and 37 all deal with various districts for the Legacy Bend development. Number 35, which I'll get into more detail, is for the paving district. 36 is for the water district. 37 is for the sanitary sewer district. These districts are all being created for a private developer. These are not city districts or city-driven districts, extension districts. As a function of the private development, the developer is desirous of bidding out the project as soon as he can, just to get his bids out on the street. So he would be desirous of passing these on second and third if that's an option for you. Number 35 here is the paving district. Again, this is for Legacy Bend. This is 4th and 5th edition. Currently, the project has been focused, it's over there right on the east side of Victory Road, north of Norfolk Avenue there, about a quarter mile. It's all those big multifamily units that are going up along the levee. This is going to get into some of the single-family housing components of that project, just to the north and a little bit east of that multifamily area. This development is a neo neighborhood, so the housing is more forward. We did a cup on that to allow smaller setbacks in that area. And again, this here before us tonight is the paving district that would extend paving through the 4th edition and 5th editions.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, short title.
An ordinance creating paving district number 519 in the city of Norfolk, Nebraska, ordering the construction of street improvements therein, and ordering the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, roll call.
Granquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Liebelhaus?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson? Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5710 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion we suspend the rules and pass ordinance number 5710 on second and third.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. If no further discussion, roll call, please.
Granquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Liebelhaus?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson? Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5710 carries on second and third.
Item 36 would look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5711, creating water extension district number 126, which provides for the extension of a water main for Legacy Bend 4th edition.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for consideration of ordinance number 5711.
Second.
Motion second, and again, Steve, some background on this, please.
Mayor and council, again, this is the water district for Legacy Bend 4th edition. The water was all previously installed in the 5th edition, so this is just for the 4th edition. In this particular case, we are installing the water underneath the street. We've been having some issues with our standards where we put that about 3 feet behind the curb. It's starting to create issues for us in terms of our sidewalks and so forth. So we are looking to move on a standard basis, move our water under our streets on our standard residential neighborhoods where we've only got the 60-foot of right-of-way. But this is the water extension district for Legacy Bend 4th edition. I'd answer any questions you would have.
Steve, maybe you can refresh my memory. The 4th and 5th editions here at Legacy Bend were part of what, phase 2 or phase 3 of this project?
We are in phase 2 of the project. We haven't gotten into phase 3 yet, but these are some portion of phase 2.
Okay.
Am I correct, Randy?
Yes, phase 2 had a number of sub-phases.
Okay. The project seems to be developing nicely and represents a large investment in housing in the community. So good to see it moving forward. Any other questions or comments, council? Hearing none, short title, please.
An ordinance creating Water Extension District Number 126 in the city of Norfolk, Nebraska, establishing the outer boundaries of the district, designating the size, location, and terminal points, referring to the plans, specifications, and engineer's estimate in connection therewith, and to provide when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and to provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Roll call, please.
Grandquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5711 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd like to vote to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 5711 on both second and third.
Second that.
Motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. If no discussion, roll call, please.
Grandquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5711 carries on second and third.
Item 37, would look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5712, creating sanitary sewer extension district number 254, which provides for the extension of a sanitary sewer main for Legacy Bend 4th Edition.
Your Honor, I'll make consideration of ordinance number 5712.
Second?
Motion and second. Anything else to add here, Steve, that isn't explained in the item?
I think the only thing I'd say, again, this is just for 4th edition. The sewer for 5th edition was installed previously.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, short title, please.
An ordinance creating sanitary sewer extension district number 254 in the city of Norfolk, Nebraska, establishing the outer boundaries of the district, designating the size, location, and terminal points, referring to the plans, specifications, and engineer's estimate in connection therewith, to provide when this ordinance shall be full force and effect, and to provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Roll call, please.
Grandquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5712 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I move we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 5712 on second and third.
Second.
Motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. If no discussion, roll call, please.
Grandquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Weeblehouse?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5712 carries on second and third.
Item 38, look for a motion to consider approval of an engineering design services contract with Wilson Incorporated for SCADA, S-C-A-D-A, on-call services master service agreement for a time and expense basis not to exceed $10,000.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion and second, and Steve, can you give us some background on this, please?
Yep. Mayor and council members, this is our SCADA system. SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. We have these systems installed at our wastewater control or wastewater pollution control facility, and also out at our water treatment facility. These are the backbone, the brains of the system. This is how we monitor remotely all of the systems that are operational out there. We can control and turn things on and off after hours, as well as it lights up our dashboards down there during the day as well. We constantly monitor both of those operations 24 hours a day. We're monitoring those, and this is how we do that. We have this particular contract is for our WPC facility. We have had an ongoing contract with a company out of Minneapolis for on-call services related to our SCADA system. Recently, in conversations with Olson, we found out that they had some expertise in that, and this is just going to make it more efficient for us and less costly for us to acquire those services. So when we do need them, you know, it's quite an expense to get somebody here out of the Minneapolis area.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Any questions on that?
Is this just like a yearly contract
Yes.
type thing with them to come in and do whenever we need them?
Yes.
Okay.
They have a lot of experience in this field.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Haven't they been the designers mainly on our WPC?
They are our primary designer at WPC, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Grandquist,
Yes.
Arms,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yeah.
Wiebelhaus,
Yes.
Murin,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay, last but not least, item 39. We'll look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5713, amending the title of City Code Chapter 24, Article 6, from emergency routes to specialty routes with separate divisions thereunder for emergency routes and truck routes, to enact Chapter 24, Article 6, Division 2 of the code to create truck routes and restrict truck traffic in the city.
I'd offer for consideration ordinance number 5713.
Second.
Motion and second, and to make sense of this, we'll hear from Shane Widener, our Public Safety Director. Shane.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is my first time addressing the council too this month, so I appreciate it. Go easy on me.
I don't think you get the same
This-
luxury.
This ordinance that is proposed here is really kind of developed out of what we experienced within the last year or so. The mayor and council restricted a couple streets in town, Sheridan Drive and West Norfolk Avenue, to through traffic for large trucks, heavy-duty trucks, 26,000 pounds and above, unless they were making a local delivery. There was some desire by elected officials to maybe expand that to other areas of town, so as a subcommittee of the mayor and council discussed that, our public works director suggested instead of designating several roads or streets that were restricted, why don't we just kind of flip that on its ear and designate the areas of town that had truck routes allowed. So that's what staff put together, the ordinance was put together and reflects that. The map that you see in front of you and on the screen reflects the content of the ordinance, and what that designates then is that this is the areas of town that large trucks, 26,001 pounds and above, are able to use routinely for through traffic in the community. Now, it does not restrict the fact that any of these trucks of any size can go and make a local delivery, a local service within the city limits as needed. But what it does do is encourages those trucks to use the main truck routes in the streets that were designed for that heavy traffic. And it allows the encouragement and the enforcement of the truck routes as designated if you pass this ordinance. So it's an opportunity to enhance some safety in our community and encourage those trucks to be where they're supposed to be and not where they're not supposed to be. In my experience with truck drivers, they don't want to be where they're not supposed to be anyway. So this, hopefully, as we get this reflected out in the community, it will educate and encourage the trucks to use as we said, use the designated routes. Let's see, I think that's basically it in a nutshell, Mayor and Council. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions. This was a group project that staff and elected officials worked on, and we try to answer any questions that you might have tonight.
That west road up there, that's Victory Road, right?
It is. So
That was the only one I knew.
yeah, Norfolk Avenue this is all within city limits, Councilman. Norfolk Avenue, Omaha Avenue, and Victory Road. I did have some discussion with our industrial partners on North Victory Road, and they were satisfied with the content of this ordinance as written. There is some truck traffic on Victory Road.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Had we considered adding Monroe Avenue to the truck route? From around, 81 and then even
east of Monroe Avenue. It is not considered in this ordinance. It could be added if that's the desire of the mayor and council to add that. Now I got to keep in mind that if they're making a local delivery or service delivery, they are allowed to use Monroe Avenue or any other street as far as that goes. So We did have, for instance, to maybe address that impartial content, Councilman, we did have like Tazuka Road and South 16th Street in this originally, but those were all local deliveries for AWG and the truck stops and WizPack, and most of the traffic on Monroe that we would get would either be our own traffic going to the landfill, or excuse me, to the transfer station, and or some of the industrial base down there in the southeast corner of the town would be considered local as well, so they would be exempt because they're in the city limits. So we did not obviously include Monroe Avenue, but if that's something we wanted to be more specific about, we sure could do that.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Shane, this is specific to routes and not noise?
Yes.
I didn't see anything in there about
No, it's
noise or
specific.
any
We
of that.
got other ordinance that address the noise issue, Jake breaks and those
Sure.
kind of things inside the city limits.
Have several people ask about that.
Yeah,
quite frequently.
they're addressed in the code in other places, I believe, if that's the Jake break noise and those
Right.
kind of things are prohibited in the city limits currently. So.
Thank you.
And Shane, just for clarification on some of these routes that would not be permitted for trucks, because I've heard this from different downtown business owners and property owners where the usage of large trucks not making deliveries on Norfolk Avenue downtown does create some concerns on that somewhat busy street and well used by pedestrians. So downtown Norfolk Avenue is not included on this route, right? It is not.
It is not included, so that means no through traffic with large trucks unless they're making a local delivery, Your Honor. Another example would be Benjamin Avenue is not included in this route. And none of those streets other than the red is included in the truck routes. So yes, to answer your question directly.
Shane, I think it's probably worth noting some of the discussion in the subcommittee meeting on Victory Road and how that, as it gets more developed with residential, it is a possibility that that's removed from being a truck route from this list in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely, Councilman. Thank you for reminding me of that. That was discussed in depth with the elected officials in the subcommittee format on 2 different occasions. In fact, originally we included restricting and not including that portion of Victory Road, but after further discussion with the industry partners and internal discussion with the subcommittee, currently it is included, but as mentioned, Councilman, by you in fact, as that area grows on Victory Road, as we continue to expand our residential offerings out there, there is potential to restrict that area, that section in between Norfolk Avenue and Benjamin Avenue in the future, and restrict that for truck traffic if needed. It's kind of a catch-22 because our industrial base grows out there too. So,
but isn't the purpose of the industrial highway even for the industries that are a little further south of the viaduct to go up around and get on
right?
the
And
industrial?
that's a great point.
I know everybody likes to take the shortest route to get wherever they got to go, but I think instead of coming down, they should be out on the nice 4-lane highway that takes them back around.
That's a great point, and that was discussed as well. This county and the city invested heavily, and our industrial partners invested heavily in industrial highway in recent years, and that's getting utilized every single day for the large traffic and is designed for that traffic. There is other ways to get to our industrial base out there, going up 35 and or up 81 and getting to Industrial Road and coming in, but it is longer. And that was discussed, and as a future industrial area grows out there, those potentials for design in highways and or streets in that area will address some of that, I'm sure, and hopefully press that traffic, that heavy industrial traffic, to those designated areas.
Shane, will this information be shared with like Google Maps and those types of things?
We haven't discussed that, but we can discuss that. Our IT director has done that in the past when we ran into these unusual situations where we were getting traffic in residential areas, and had some success with that. The formats out there, you know, there's a wide variety of them, so to capture them all isn't necessarily probably possible 100%, but to share that information, a lot of times what happens is when the maps get updated and these things start to go out there, that when those maps are updated, they try to capture some of that information, but that's not 100% either. So we'll do our best to try to reach out and share that information as we can. Can't promise that'll be 100% capture though, Councilman.
I'm sure that's a process.
Okay, any other questions?
Shane, how does public safety or how does PD, what do you do when you find somebody that's not where they're supposed to be? If you got a truck hauling a load of pigs down
Sure.
Norfolk Avenue, it's pretty obvious they're not going to make a local delivery.
Sure. That's a great question.
You got other semis that, I mean, how do you know whether they're making a local delivery or not?
Well, you use officer discretion.
Sure.
And our officers, you know, trust me, I'm an old gear jammer myself. The last place I want to be is in those type of areas, residential downtown areas, if I'm not supposed to be there. And I know as, you know, the truck drivers, they absolutely don't want to be there. So usually the officers can see that pretty readily, and when they have that interaction with the truck driver, you can see it on their face oftentimes, like where can I be? I'm not supposed to be here, obviously, and they'll use it as an educational opportunity to inform them that here's where you need to go. They'll direct them in the right way, remind them that this is technically not a truck route, and try to educate them first. Now, if you have repeat offenders and those kind of things or you have an obvious situation that is negative to safety and or the environment that they're dealing with, they would have the ability and the right to issue a citation at that point. But most of the time they take that first swipe at them as an educational opportunity. And that brings up another good point. In discussions that we had with our industrial partners, they said we want to educate our drivers to use the big roads, for lack of better words, you know, the truck routes, including 35 and Industrial Road. So I really think we're going to have good partnership as we go forward and the community starts to grow, that this will naturally start to move that heavy traffic to those areas and not the ones that Councilman Grandquist is talking about. So that's how we handle that most of the time.
Very good. Thank you.
And if you start looking into working with the state as far as getting route signs for the highways?
Yeah, we'll have to put some signage out. I mean, the ordinance addresses that, and our public works director and our police chief will work directly with the state of Nebraska on that, and we'll try to get our signage out there as soon as we can. It'll just designate the truck route. It won't have any effect on any other thing that's signed out there. It'll just designate this truck route on the map.
Shane, I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Just to kind of follow up with Thad, I do know that some Google map search, something updates, any information you can do would be great, because I know Sheridan Drive up there tends to get a lot of mistaken truck traffic. And in your discussions, have you guys thought trucks coming from the north and wanting to go west?
Mm-hmm.
Send them all the way down to Omo Avenue and then kind of back out. Was there any discussion of maybe doing the Norfolk? I guess that Norfolk Avenue, it gets a little congested around the hospital, but how do you get around Norfolk from the north to go west?
Currently that is the only way. I mean, technically. When you do get some truck traffic on West Norfolk Avenue, west of 13th Street, that'll go down to 25th Street and then cut back or go straight by the hospital and turn. And we do get some pushback about that, to be frank with you. So that's why that's included as a non-truck route currently. So they do have to go down to Omo Avenue and get on the bypass and go out west. And that's their option right now. And that was one of the recent changes we made, Sheridan Drive and West Norfolk Avenue. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
All right,
Thank you, Shane. Good staff work, well done. Thank you. Any other discussion, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Short title.
Oh, I'm sorry, short title.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska to amend the title of Chapter 24, Article 6 from emergency routes to specialty routes with separate divisions thereunder for emergency routes and truck routes, to enact Chapter 24, Article 6, Division 2 of the Code to create the truck routes and restrict truck traffic in the city, provide when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, now roll call, please.
Dranquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Wiebelhaus?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5713 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, hearing no opposition to this, I suggest that we pass ordinance number 5713 on second and third. I'll make a motion for that, sorry.
Second it.
Motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second and third readings. No further discussion. Roll call, please.
Dranquist?
Yes.
Arns?
Yes.
Merrill?
Aye.
Wiebelhaus?
Yes.
Murin?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Clausen?
Yes.
Hildebrand?
Yes.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance number 5713 carries on second and third.
Okay, and that concludes this meeting of the Norfolk City Council. We are adjourned.